industry. Ponder that for a moment. So I don't really sell anything. I believe that herbal medicine is a people's medicine. It's inexpensive or it's free. So I don't sell products. I just exchange my knowledge of the healing arts, and I teach you how to use these simple, powerful, and inexpensive tools, and the training you have for your lifetime. How you can use foods and herbs to nourish you, heal you, and whole you. Because really, you are the only person with the power to heal you. The magic is inside you, for real. And so I am not a healer of anyone but myself. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. And as we do every week, we're going to sing before we begin. And whether or not you can carry a tune in a bucket doesn't matter. Go ahead and, let out your divine instrument. Let it flow. There's something about singing that shifts your brain into a right hemisphere, which allows you to kind of open up and access certain information that you may not have access to with just the left lobe of your brain. So it's when you sing and when you do things like art, it actually opens up that other side. And then when you add the breath aspect, as Saint Hildegard said, music can truly transform the world. So this is a Seneca prayer, and I encourage you to join in. I sing this prayer every week, so here we go. Sacred Corn Mother, come to me. Make my way sacred, fill me with beauty. Sacred Corn Mother, come to me. Make my way sacred, fill me with beauty. Fill me with beauty, fill me with beauty. Fill me with beauty, that I may bring others beauty. So, that's my website, Ancient Mother Wisdom, where I can teach you how to make your own medicine in your own kitchen for yourself and for your family. Well, what is health anyway? The wise woman says, good health is flexibility, opening to change, availability for transformation, and being grounded while traveling the spiral of life and death and rebirth. Wise women nourish. We do not fix or cure or balance. Health is inherent in each being, with nourishment being the key that unlocks it. Nourish health, wholeness, holiness in each unique individual, aware of the holographic interconnectedness with all things. And that's from Healing Wise by my teacher, Susan Weed. It's a little bit different definition than we're used to. So what I teach is called the Beauty Way. First, do no harm. And the Beauty Way of the 7 medicines. And this is ancient wisdom that's really been hidden from us. We had the Rockefeller Medicine Organization that really did their best to, eliminate herbalists and midwives and naturopaths in favor of pharmaceutical medicine. And so want to remind people that the healing does come from within. And some people say body, mind, and spirit. I think it's really spirit, mind, and body. And we need to make sure that we're aligned. So what we do in the first step is we do nothing at all, and we bathe in the serenity medicine, and we're still and we listen, and we get aligned. And then we collect information in a low-tech way, and we tell the story. What's the story? Diagnosis of story, you don't need one to heal. And then we engage the energy with our amazing mind medicine that's so powerful, the placebo effect. Ever heard of that? And then we nourish and tonify using lifestyle medicine, things like nourishing herbs and foods and movement and dance and ritual and all kinds of things that make for a healthy lifestyle, and interacting with community. And then if you don't get the results, then you can repeat these. They're always 100% safe, and they'll never hurt you. But if you don't get the results, or if you have something serious, like my friend did who was diagnosed with terminal stage 4 cancer, you may have to go for all 6 at the same time. And so the next step would be to stimulate and sedate, and that's the alternative medicines. And then use drugs or supplements if you must, and that's pharmaceutical medicine. And then if you still haven't gotten the results that you need, then you may need to break and enter, and that's really deep medicine. That's surgery and very complex procedures. So those ones that are 4, 5, and 6 always erode your health a bit in the hopes of restoring it. So that's the way I teach. So if you'd like to support herbal medicine, please feel free here. This is, donate what you want if you want to. No pressure there. Like I said, I don't sell products, so I can be objective, and you can believe what I say. I'm not. This is not advertising speech, except for my classes, which I encourage you to take. And also, if you want to book a private consultation with me, then I would suggest that you scan these QR codes, and we can set up an appointment. And if you'd like to take my class, a 3-part series of how to make your own medicine, please also consider that. And I know Margie has a link too that she'll be running around on the show with. So that's what I do. So without further ado, let me introduce my lovely guest, Lisa Bromfield. Lisa
Hello,
is.
hello. I
Hi,
hope you
hon.
guys
How
can
are
see.
you?
Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes, much better. Yes, thank
Good,
you.
good, good.
Wonderful. Glad you
I got on
solved it.
my, yes, we did. Got to do a
All right.
little sound check. Very good.
Very good. Excellent. So Lisa is an amazing woman that I was blessed to interact with when she lived here in St. Pete Beach. Or actually, I think it was St. Pete down in Pasadena.
Yep.
And she's a Reiki master, practitioner, psychic. Her healing work has really touched lives all around the world, and both through her private practice and through her vibrant social media presence. Her warmth and wisdom and radiant energy has really guided countless souls toward healing and self-discovery. And her debut book, which I just finished today,
Yay.
yay, excellent, I have to say. The Magic Inside You. Lisa invites her readers to her very, very deeply personal journey of heartbreak, awakening, and surrender, and it was very touching, I have to say. Through honest, soul-bearing storytelling, she reveals not just the beauty of transformation, but the raw, the real, and the vulnerable moments that led her to lasting joy, inner peace, and her life's purpose. And through heartfelt guidance and real life tools, Lisa shows you how to navigate your own path to healing. With practices rooted in forgiveness, self-love, and inner reflection, the Magic Inside You offers a clear, compassionate roadmap to help you find your way back home to yourself, where the magic has always been. And you can get her website at lisabromfield.com. So I would say hello,
Hello,
Lisa. Glad
hello.
we solved the sound problem. Yay.
We did. We did. Thank goodness for the iPad.
Wonderful. So it's been gosh, I can't remember. I think it might have been 3 or 4 years ago
Yeah,
that I met you, because I think your where you were living got wiped out, I believe, in one
it
of the
did.
hurricanes.
So did my house.
Yeah,
So did my
yeah,
house.
yeah.
That was quite the storm.
Right. So so it's been a few years, and you're no longer here in Florida now, right? You've migrated up the coast. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm in Statesville, North Carolina, just a little bit north of Charlotte.
Okay. Oh, beautiful country.
Yes.
Beautiful country. So tell us a little bit about how you got from. Now, you weren't born in Charlotte or Florida, were you?
No, I was not.
Uh-huh. Where are you born? Where do you come from?
I'm from Boston, Massachusetts originally, in a small town called Weston, Massachusetts.
Oh, but you didn't say Boston correctly. It's supposed to be
Well,
Boston.
some people pick up on my accent. It's still there.
I'm just teasing you. uh, so tell us, how did you escape Boston? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, it was a process. After college, I moved to New Hampshire, and I was a behaviorist. I worked in psych hospitals with dual diagnosed folks, and I loved that work. Absolutely loved it. I worked with traumatically brain injured. I worked with autistic. adolescents and children. Tremendous opportunities working with some of the best behaviorists in the country. And I just kind of kept migrating north. And I ended up in Maine. Then I moved into sales and I worked for Pfizer Pharmaceuticals for a bit. Yeah, I mean, it's like really. So real, it just moved through some different parts of my career. And then I moved to Arizona and I worked in hospital. I worked for a system, Dignity Health there,
Hmm.
for quite a while. And
Wow.
then I went through my transformation in 2013 when my partner left me, cheated on me. And I found my teacher in Arizona and did a lot of healing work there. It was fantastic. And then in 2018, the universe said, no more corporate for you. And I was let go. And
Mm.
that's when I opened my practice.
Yeah. Wow. I went through the same thing. I mean, I lost that CFO job and I really thought I had done something horrible, but it was really just a matter of the venture capitalist wanted my equity in my chair and I didn't realize that until many years later, but at the time, it was your dream. It was my dream. It's gone. But yeah, so I understand and isn't that the funny thing about transformation? I mean, it's really all about the contrast that actually helps you clarify what you really do want. And
Yeah.
so can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think sometimes we don't make decisions because we're fearful. You got the mortgage, you've got the bills, right? And I
Hmm.
was miserable in that job, bored to tears. And my customers loved me, but it was depleting me. It just wasn't filling my heart and soul up. And
Mm.
so, what the universe does in these situations when we will not get just move
Yeah.
away from it and leave it, they'll come in with the 2x4 and they'll make it happen. And I was notified by Spirit 3 months beforehand. They said, you're going to lose your job in 3 months. So I went to my boss, who was a good friend of mine, and Chris says, "Oh no, he dismissed it. You're my best friend. You're going to be here till you retire." and,
No.
and then 3 months. And I'll tell you, initially it was just a teeny bit shocking, but I looked at my boss and the first thing I said to him, because he knew I was doing this work on the side, I said, Spirit has different plans for me. And it was such a relief. I just felt like the gorilla was off my back. Shortly after, I built my own website and I still maintain it to this day. And then I
Mm.
found a shaman and a medicine woman in Arizona, and I built my beautiful shamanic drum that I use in all of my healing private sessions with clients, as well as with my death doula work.
Do you have Serena there with you?
Excuse
Can
me?
you show us? Do you
Yeah.
have
Oh,
your
hang
drum
on.
with
Yeah, hang on. Let me get her. Hang on. Yes, yes.
Oh, yes. Look at her.
Okay, now that I'm plugged back in here, this is Serena. That's what I named her. She's made out of elk skin.
Hmm.
And the rule is, just so our audience knows, I'm not a shaman. That is something that an indigenous tribe will designate you as, but it's a shamanic drum because it's a healing drum. So just to clarify there, and you never ever touch a healer's drum or healing instruments unless you have permission. And I generally do not let anybody touch her. She's 17 inches, she's elk skin, and her sound is absolutely magical. What's very interesting is 99% of my clients have never been exposed to a drum. All my work is virtual, so I'm working through a microphone. They're plugged into a headset and they melt.
Mm.
People release so much when I do this drumming, and you think, how can that be done virtually? But it can be, and it's been very effective. And I pulled it out of my practice for a while, and I reintroduced it about, I don't know, 6, 8 months ago, and I'm really glad I've brought her back to the table because she's such an asset to my practice.
That's lovely. I made a drum myself many, many years ago, and she's living in the closet. So,
Yeah.
um, Yeah. So, well, that's lovely. I mean, I think sound has a lot of healing qualities, and that's part of the reason that I encourage people to sing more. And
Hmm.
and because it's like a breath meditation, and it's also, I think that's why churches, I think that's why they sing in church. It
Hmm.
helps you sort of interact with that other part of your brain that you don't use every day when you're going to work or you're doing your normal everyday stuff, which is that left linear part of your brain. It's that right holographic part that is the one that goes, wow, like describe the color yellow or art, or which is the best art. I mean, you really can't do it, but your right brain is like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
um, so, and in fact, I saw that you were a fan of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. You had one of her quotes
Yes,
in your
it's
book.
so funny that I had one of her quotes because I studied her in my women's psychology course in college. I went to Mount Holyoke College, and I was a psychology and Spanish major. And gosh, when I saw her name, when I was pulling up different quotes that I thought would be really cool to have at the beginning of each
Yeah,
chapter, just to kind of
yeah,
set the tone, I was like, wow, I hadn't thought of her in a many, many years.
yes, yes. Well, you might be interested to know she actually, my teacher Susan Weed actually traveled with her. She used to do seminars, and she would not teach you unless you sang.
I love that. Yeah, and you're so spot on about, remember, we're vibration and frequency.
Right, right.
So, the chanting, the vibrational instruments like singing bowls and drums and tingsha bells and
Hmm.
such, all of these help us release
Yes.
inside. And that's why sound baths are so very effective, and why energy work with sound and such it's all part of helping us through our healing journey.
Isn't that beautiful? I mean, it's so funny how you go through your journey in life. You think you have everything figured out. You know exactly how you want my life is going to be this. I'm going to pay off my mortgage by the time I'm 55, and then I'm going to be able to retire, and I'll have all this money, and blah blah blah. And then life gets in the way, and
Yeah.
suddenly things just completely turn the opposite direction, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah, yeah,
Very, very difficult.
it's really true.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be in sales. And do you think I ever thought I was going to be a psychic medium, death doula, Reiki master teacher? Never in my wildest dreams. And
Right.
it has been the best thing that ever happened to me. And that's the magic. That's the journey back to our a true essence in who we really, really are. And that's what the book's about. And that's what I trust and know. This book is going to awaken so many people. It's going to shake them to the core and say, I know there's something deeper out there for me, that
Yeah.
purpose that you've been craving and yearning for.
Mm. So true. I think so many people today really just don't have a sense of purpose or joy, more than purpose. I think I mean, what's the
Yeah,
purpose other than joy anyway and love? But
yeah.
yeah, no, I think that all of I was very really touched by your book and your journey and the personal aspects that you shared. And I think it just demonstrates once again that experience is the teacher, words don't teach.
Mm-mm.
And contrast, the light and the dark are lovers. And you really have to appreciate the things that you don't like for showing you what you do like and with a lot more
Exactly.
clarity. And so
Yes.
after, we come back from, the break that we have coming up, I really would love to have you talk about some of the key steps of how to reach those sorts of how to get from wherever you are, and sometimes you're putting in your boat in the water at severe depression or wherever it might be, how
Hmm.
to get from there to, and you don't have to get up to joy and love and appreciation all in just a minute. But we'll
Hmm.
talk about we'll be talking about that more after our break. And our guest tonight is Lisa Bromfield, author of The Magic Inside You, and this is the Weeds of Wisdom podcast on the UNX network. coming to you on Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be right back.
Don't miss the supernatural event of 2025, the biggest, best, and original ghost conference in America returns June the 26th through the 29th in Alton, Illinois. The Haunted America Conference returns to one of the most haunted small towns in all of America for our 28th annual event. Join us for new and returning speakers on ghosts, hauntings, the paranormal, and the unexplained. Plus, how-to workshops, question and answer sessions, special events, haunted tours, and much more. The Haunted America Conference is always the most fun you'll have at a paranormal event. We look forward to seeing you in June 2025. You won't be sorry that you've come to help us celebrate 28 years. Visit ghostconference.net to register today. That's ghostconference.net. The Onyx Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full-spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Onyx Network website at onyxnetwork.com. That's onyxnetwork.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Weeds of Wisdom. And I'm here with my guest, Lisa Bromfield, this evening. And we've been talking about her new book, The Magic Inside. And this is the book cover. And you can get that at lisabromfield.com. Or you can also, I think you can get that on Amazon. Is that correct, Lisa?
Yeah, I put the link up just because it's easier for my social media folks since I live stream on TikTok and such.
Perfect.
They can go to my website. There's a button there and it goes right to Amazon.
Perfect. All right. Well, I do highly recommend it. It was a really, and you know, it's not like a lot of books in this space, you know, that purport to give you the secrets, and it's very, you know, it's not a lot of words, and the chapters are short, and it's not one of those, it's not hard to figure out. It's very like, it's like a breath of fresh air. It was like taking a warm and lovely, you know, mineral bath. So thank you. I appreciate the experience, and I encourage the audience to definitely get that book and check it out. So anyway, we were talking about vibration and frequency, and how you know, transformations, they're not easy, and we go from sort of the low end of the vibrational emotional scale, where all of us have been. When I lost my job as CFO, my dream job, I was depressed. I went on a bender for weeks, you know. There was no substance I wouldn't, you know, try to put in myself to try to self-medicate, right? And you know, after a while, you just you burn out on that. And so talk a little bit about how, and at the same time, it's, if you're all the way down there, you can't necessarily get all the way up here in an instant. So there's really sort of if you will, a turning that happens or an allowing that happens at various periods. So can you talk a little bit about the transformational journey?
Absolutely. Transformation is messy. It's not linear. You're going to have ups and downs. It's a roller coaster ride. And so in 2013, when my best friend and my partner of 10 years cheated on me, I was in Boston with my mom in nursing home who had not been there that long. And so that was a difficult experience because I was flying back and forth from Arizona to Boston about every 3 months to take care of mom. And I wasn't really doing the psychic work yet, but I got a hit. Something was weird. Something was off because she wasn't texting me. And the next thing I said, you're at a Phoenix Mercury game, basketball game. Who's in my seat? Oh, no one. And I said, oh, you're lying. And that night we had the talk and it was messy. Lori and I had never argued, and we argued a lot during the breakup. And it was a gift. And really, in hindsight, and hindsight is 2020, it was a huge gift because I looked in the mirror and I said, this can't continue. This is my fourth cheat. I deserve better than this.
Mm,
And I want to attract a teacher that's going to help me work through this. And
right.
I knew that traditional therapy wasn't going to be the road for me. I was like, no, I'd been in therapy before because of all the trauma in the household growing up. And I just know I needed something different. So I was invited to a brunch with a bunch of lesbians.
Oh
And
my.
the hostess gifted us a reading from a psychic. And it was very interesting. All the girls got a romantic reading, of course, except me. And Tammy brought in this guy from the other side, a young man that had died, and said he has sandy colored hair and he's thanking you. And I didn't know at the time. And the importance of this story is it validated that she was the right teacher. And she says, you're going to know in a couple of days. And a couple of days later, I remembered when I was working in the New Hampshire State Hospital in a locked unit. I was working admissions. I worked as a mental health worker so that I could, get some experience on the floor, right in the trenches with the patients. And a young man was admitted with sandy blonde hair, and he was anorexic. And as the bone was almost wearing through his feet. And long story short, I worked one-on-one with him every time I went into my shift. And I went to the head nurses and I said, we have a problem here. This man's going to die. Please, we got to help him. And they put him up on the third floor, therapeutic floor, where they thought he might thrive, unlocked unit. And I came into work one day and the nurse pulled me out back and she said, Michael died of renal failure last night. And I fell to the floor in tears, in
Oh,
tears. And he's come back a couple times to thank me. That was just beautiful. I knew Tammy was my teacher. I began studying A Course in Miracles. I was a hot mess.
mm,
I really was. And that's okay, you guys. When you're that hot mess, that's when you're letting go of everything. That's when you're in that deep period of personal transformation. Within 3 years, I stepped into my gifts as a psychic medium, and my second teacher developed me more. And so transformation is difficult. There's nothing easy about it. I'm not going to say it's unicorns and and rainbows. It isn't. You
mm,
have to go through the pain because the pain is your teacher. The
mm,
people that hurt you are your teachers. And so
mhm.
today I have great gratitude for Lori because I did the forgiveness work and we've been best friends for 22 years. And it's a gift. It's a gift. So we have to really, like Wayne Dyer says, change the way you look at things and the things you look at change.
Yes,
Right. And
that is so
that's
true.
that's what transformation's about.
It is. And I had an experience of that when I was apprenticing. We were out harvesting stinging nettle that was tall as I am, and it was hot and it was stinging and I was complaining. I was, this hurts. Ouch, ouch, ouch. So my apprentice sister, she just looks over at me and she goes, I think of it more like energy than pain. And in that instant, it changed for me ooh, now it's energy. Ooh, now we can play with it. Ooh, now I'm like not it really changed the experience from being woo, angry, pissed off, to being, oh, wow, this is really fun and playful. And so some things you can just, you know, uh, decide, because I think people don't recognize that we do have the ability to choose a better feeling thought.
We do. We do. When you align every word, thought, and action with love, that's
Right,
what your body begins to radiate, this amazing energy of love. So what happens? That's what you begin to attract.
right,
What you are is what you attract. So if I had stayed in victim energy with this whole breakup and said, "Oh, poor me," or the job, "Poor me," you're low on the vibrational when you're in that victim energy, "Poor me."
right.
You're in the
Mhm.
blame game.
Mhm.
Now you raise it up and say gratitude.
Right.
How can you have gratitude for something miserable? For the brother that beat and bullied me when I was a kid, from my
Mhm.
mother that was a narcissist. When we get into gratitude, the universe says, wow, she's looking at this differently. Well,
Right.
now we got to drop the things in that is for her highest and best good. And that's what they continue to do. And that's what you see in the storytelling in the book. It's all this magical stuff dropping in through
Right.
synchronicities and the breadcrumbs that the
Yeah.
universe continue to lead me to into my deeper purpose.
Right. And it seemed to me that it wasn't a matter of your efforting to to try to make
Mhm,
something happen.
mhm,
In fact, it sounds like it was more organic in that it was just sort of synchronistic, and oh, I happened to meet this person who happened to be from here, and this, and like you said, the woman who connected with this young man. So isn't it funny how sometimes the best thing is to just try to get out of your own way? And in fact, I have a story about that. I was After my mom died, I was moving into her house where I am now, and I needed to sell her bed, and she had needed this bed that had, the top raises and the bottom raises, and it lifted up and had a remote, and the thing practically flew. I mean, it lit up and everything. Very expensive, like $5,000 or something. And I had to get it out of there because I had to put new carpet down and put my bed in. And I was trying to sell it, and I was desperate because I didn't want to have to give it away. And I
mhm.
had it up for 2,500, and I was so like,
Mhm,
like way down here.
mhm.
And I don't know what, something happened, and I was outside, and I just started laughing about something. And sure enough, somebody calls, and he's like, "Oh, my mom really needs this. Can I come and look at it?" And the next day, he hands me $2,500, and his men take it out.
Yeah.
And so wasn't until I let go of trying so hard about it that it was able to manifest. And
Mhm,
so, and I think the important thing is to understand law of attraction, because I was in this vibration. I wasn't, even if the solution had been presented to me, I would not have been able to see it.
mhm.
I would have gone right by it, or it would have gone right by me. And it was only until I was just, for no other reason, just vibrating higher and happier, that finally, the universe was like, finally, you just stop doing that thing that you do, and I could manifest this for you.
Yeah.
So, isn't that funny?
Manifesting's not so hard. It's a feeling. That's what
Yeah,
people don't understand.
right. Um, so, so tell us some more about, uh, the journey and some of the practices I think that you discovered over the years. And you talked about being a death doula as well. So
Mhm.
I'd like to hear more about that at some point. I know the drumming is a big aspect of your practice, and the Reiki is a big aspect of your practice,
Yeah.
as well as your psychic ability and you and your guides. So tell us more about how what are the various sort of tools that you would typically use with someone that was, coming to you for a reading or a healing or some guidance.
Yeah. Um, the psychic ability, we're all psychic, first of all. So we all have this intuitive ability. Not all of us are mediums, but all of us are psychic. It's a matter of if we develop it. And I talk about the different clairs in the book, clairvoyance, clairsentience, and such. So that's the first thing that to clarify. Um, when people come to me, the first thing I ask them, are you meditating? Meditation is transformational, and the way I present it to people is it's a way to love yourself. It's the most nurturing thing you can do to start your day. Meditation has been proven beyond a doubt to have the benefits of health, emotional and physical health, and even epigenetics. We talk about that your genes express differently over
Right.
time, right?
Right.
You're rewiring the brain during this time. You're
Right.
reeling in presence, right? So you're really reconstructing your body. And my twin brother will tell you, I'm not the same person I was in 2013 than I am now, and I'm not. I'm clearly not.
Right.
I've always been this sweet person, but I'm not the same person. But
Right.
the thing that I tell people is you have to be consistent. I get up every single morning and I spend an hour meditating and self-treating with Reiki. It's non-negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Has
not,
to be your
there's no
priority.
choice. It's a priority. I do
Right.
not leave the house or do anything until those things are, that's where I get all my messages. Oh, Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
go do this, right? And then doing a self-treatment on my body. Not every Reiki master, teacher, or Reiki master is doing that. And it's a
Mm.
very important part of my practice and as well with my students. You self-treat for over 30 minutes every single day. This is
Right.
non-negotiable. Okay.
Right.
So this is a way to love yourself. That's the first thing I share with people is the meditation part is really transformational. Well, I can't quiet my mind. And then I take them into a journey and they're like, they were quiet and they were able to go in for 40
Yes.
minutes. And they're like, oh my
Yes.
God. Right.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's what, oh, I can't. And then the universe says, oh, you're telling us you can't do that. Well, we're going to deliver more of what you can't do. So I tell them, say you can and you can.
Right, exactly right, and that's what in the beauty way is step zero. That's serenity medicine. That's really where you get quiet, and you're able to tune in to basically you tuned out all the other static that your left brain is so busy with all during the day, and I think it also allows all of the heart energies to open and for you to really connect with your wise healer within, with your inner guidance system, whatever. And I think you mentioned too, it's about the emotion, and I think the emotion is how we know whether or not we're um, sort of headed in the right direction. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, I think that, again, when we're thinking about the future, that's where we create anxiety. When we're in the
Mm,
past, we're creating depression. The present moment is where you are creating. This is where your power is, right? And so, look, all of us, we're human, we worry. But if you can
right.
just reel that back in and get into this present moment with your breath, you're going to, all the answers are right here.
Right.
I use a metaphor, and I watch. It was really cool. I was watching a podcast by Tracy Spears with Mina Brown, and she likes metaphors, and I love metaphors. And Dorothy, going down the yellow brick road because I've got the yellow brick road on the front of the book, and
Right.
Dorothy's looking for home, and she meets the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion, and Glinda along the way, and those are her mentors. And she finally gets to the wizard, and it's a silly old man behind a curtain.
Yeah.
And what
Nothing there.
Dorothy learns is that home is not a place on the map. Home is not outside of her.
Hmm.
Home's right here. It's right
Exactly right. Exactly right. And we heal from the inside now out, not the outside in.
here. Yeah. Yeah, it's the end. And that's the
Yeah.
hard work. People don't want to go in. This is why people distract themselves. Run, 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 run. They don't want to stop. They don't want to meditate because it's so scary to go in. And it is,
Right.
you guys. It's
Right.
scary when you start going in, dealing with the shadow work. Oh, that's a whole nother level. That's a whole nother layer.
Right. You know, it is, and it's difficult work. It's hard to. I think it's very difficult for us to see that we were wrong, and I think that perhaps rather than thinking of it as wrong, I think you can think of it as being in a different place on your journey based on the information you had at the time and what was going on at the time. It wasn't that that was the wrong choice. It was just, when you look back, I kind of think of it as, if life is a spiral, and our shit, for lack of a better word, is,
Mhm.
one of the stops, and so you hit it, and then you experience it one way, and then as you have different experiences, and then you hit it at this deeper level, oh, it looks different, and then you go deeper, and then, oh wow, it looks even different now than it did back then. I think this rush to judge others is, perhaps the basis of is a fear-based thing, and it is counterproductive, I think. And so I think it's all about, you know fear and love can't coexist in the same time space,
They
which is
cannot.
essentially, the Course in Miracles. Or I could never get through A Course in Miracles. Way too many words, way too many study groups. And I actually got Gerald Jampolsky's little book with pictures called Love is Letting Go of Fear, which is the Cliff Notes version. And that suited me. I think I got everything I needed out of A Course in
That's
Miracles from that
beautiful.
little book. But anyway, so if anybody out there is struggling with the Course in Miracles, please let me know, or check out Love is Letting Go of Fear by Gerald Jampolsky. It is a very little book with pictures, and so that's quite the contrast.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So, all right. So we got about 10 more minutes in the show here. So tell us more about what you recommend for people in terms of wherever they are at in their journey. And, I know that everything today in the media and society tells us to look outside of ourselves for the answers, whether it's a doctor or a teacher or a family member, or fill in the blank. It's always outside of you, or a priest or something. The salvation is always outside of you. And I think the idea of having all of that, you know I always say, you're created perfect, you're created whole, you're created holy.
Mhm.
And to come from that place, and I've heard some people say, well, people don't want to take responsibility. But then I also think, as Kathy O'Brien points out, responsibility is the ability to respond. So I think that we should cut each other some slack, and just, allow people to be where they are on their journey,
Mhm.
and not, be in this place of judgment about others. You have thoughts on that?
Yeah, when you judge others, you don't define yourself. You you
Mm.
don't define them, you define yourself. Okay, so that's really important to keep that in mind. You know, we do reach for things outside of ourselves. We think that's where all the answers are. It's easy that way. You get people who are materialistic, and they think, oh, if I have money, if I have the car, if I have the houses, that's going to make me happy. And yet they can be some of the most miserable people on the planet. And when you get to this place of lasting joy and inner peace, you're just in a space of unshakableness. Nothing disturbs your peace. And it's really an incredible space to get to, but it takes time. And that's the thing that I share with people. If you think you're going to just hit a switch and this is going to happen, absolutely not. This is hard work. And it
Right.
takes a very, very deep commitment to yourself. The
Mm.
deepest thing that I work with people are two things. Knowing that they're enough. And what I would share with the audience tonight is you are enough just
Right.
because you exist. Okay? So that whole idea of really falling in love with you. And that's an
Right.
interesting notion, right? And then there's the forgiveness piece of forgiving
Right.
yourself and others. And that sets us free. That's the chain and ball that we've been dragging around all of our life. And once that's unlocked, you're
Right.
free. You're free.
Right. It's like, the balloon finally gets to drop the rock and lift off.
Mm-hmm.
You finally let go of that baggage that's you've been dragging around, and you have been talking about it for, your whole life, that whatever horrible thing happened to you and just can't stop talking about it. Well, where your attention goes, the energy flows.
Mm-hmm.
And one pastor told me this many, many years ago. He said, where a lot of people go wrong is they pray, but they pray the problem. And he said, God doesn't hear the word don't. So a lot of people say, oh, please, God, don't let me be poor. Don't let me be sick. And instead of enunciating, God, let me be abundant. God, let me be
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
So we and Kathy O'Brien talks about this too. When we voice no negative without also voicing a solution,
Mm-hmm.
because it changes the wiring in our brain, and it also changes in an instant that vibration. So I know there's a lot of division these days between the parties and the sexes and the countries and this and that, but I really think that we really all are holographically interconnected, beings from source, however you want to call that. I
Mm-hmm.
always say it's a prism, and you see it through one angle and I see it through another angle, and we have different names and different rituals, but we're all talking about the same thing, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, so what? It doesn't have to be all that hard. And how much? How do they? If somebody wanted to book a session with you, can they do that at your website too, Lisa?
Yeah, people know they can just text me or email me at lisabromfieldenergyhealer@gmail.com. I'm very easy to get a hold of. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I'm on all social media platforms. So sometimes
Right.
people go use Messenger and such. So, yeah, it's very easy to get a hold
Wonderful.
of me. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm very excited that we had this time to get together, and I had the opportunity to experience your book. And I'd love to, I know that you have another book that you're working on at the moment, and
Yes.
your speaking engagements and other things. So I look forward to hearing more about what you have coming in the future, Lisa, and would love to have you back on, and we can talk some more about those things.
That sounds terrific. Thank you so much.
So, everybody, this is the Weeds of Wisdom podcast, and I'm Casey, the wise woman, Kimberly Crail. And if you have any interest at all in checking out Lisa's work, you can go to her website. It's lisabromfield.com. And if you'd like to get a private consultation with me, you can do that. It's pretty inexpensive, and I don't sell products, so I'm very objective. And also, you can learn, I'll teach you how to make your own medicine. So this is the class. It's 3 parts. It's 5.5 hours, and it's packed with powerful information that you can use for a lifetime of health for you and your family. And finally, if you just want to make a small donation of any amount, please click here to support the herbalist. And so we'll be back next week, and I look forward to just a wonderful, unifying experience with my fellow human beings here on this planet, whether they're in the red wing or the blue wing. The fact of the matter is we're really all one, and we really need to allow ourselves to take what we can use from people that we would consider others, and not shy away just because someone is labeled themselves one thing or another. And let's really try to come together and take the best of both worlds, would be my hope and my prayer. So we'll be back next week. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is Casey the Wise Woman on the Weeds of Wisdom podcast on the UNX Network. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. We'll be back next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.